everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone. And I am so excited. This isn't, we're going to see an experimental Conscious Business Zone today because our main speaker, Karen Storsteen, is having trouble getting online because of bad weather in Southern California. So she just texted me and said she thinks she's got her power back on.
Yay!
But the reason we have these wonderful people on screen today, Paul Sperry and Elizabeth Alt, is they're both dear friends of mine that volunteered to be read by Karen so that you would have an idea of the work that she does, which is quite remarkable. They've volunteered to let it all hang out publicly. Well, sort of. Anyway, yeah, not really, huh?
I'll let Elizabeth do that.
I'm open to spirit guiding everything.
Yeah, that's the way it is. So why don't we? I'll introduce Karen when she comes on. But would either one of you like to lead to explain who you are so that the audience gets an idea of you? Paul's been on before, but Paul, do you want to start?
Okay, I'm Paul Sperry. I am a scientist, retired now, and I've been working in the world of environmental science and system science. I've been a spiritual student ever since some major changes following the Vietnam War. And I find this is a very exciting time, one of a lot of anxiety and change and discord that makes a lot of people uneasy and fearful. I look to the opportunities that are being presented and looking at how to present or prepare myself to make best advantage of things when everything's all in motion.
Perfect. And I love that because we all volunteered. We're like the first wave, but we didn't know that. Right?
So nor were we told in advance.
Well,
Still looking for that owner's manual, but I think I'm sneaking up on it just through experience.
Well, I think that what we're seeing is that it's all unfolding in a right now it seems very quickly it's unfolding, but we had inklings of it all along, right? Yeah. So Elizabeth, why don't you introduce yourself if you would?
Well, my name is Elizabeth Alt, and I have the great joy of living in a beautiful, pristine mountain place. And really, my main focus is holding the light for the positive timeline victory, serving love in the evolutionary awakening of humanity, Mother Earth, and all beings everywhere. In my life, I've had many, many wonderful different venues for service, including being a cook, being a spiritual healer, being an astrologer since I was 9 years old. I've been fascinated by the stars. Actually, since my brother suddenly died, I would go outside and commune with the stars, and I have a lifelong passion for astrology. I also am a licensed life coach, and I like to do life coaching assisted by astrology, which pinpoints issues so quickly. That's very, very useful. And I'm currently semi-retired and mostly an artist. And I recently put up my first art website, which is elizabethaltart.com. And alt is spelled AULT. So that's elizabethaltart.com. And I currently have a mosaic mandala calendar for sale on my website, as well as printable art of many of my very colorful landscapes and all sorts of interesting, unusual, sometimes art. I'm looking for meaningful messages that are useful for us to know. because according to the astrology, we are in for a huge transformational year. Many of the outer planets are shifting signs from Pisces to Aries. 0 degrees Aries, of course, is the spring equinox, and that is the creator point. And we have Neptune and Saturn conjunct on the creator point. So that's a very interesting combo of personalities, because Neptune is the dimension of higher love, divine love, mysticism, spirituality. And of course, Capricorn is the big business, Lord of Karma, tester. So we have quite a combination of planets having a very important conversation that's busting the old paradigms. We are in for something completely new this coming years, not just this year. This is, of course, the inception point. It's like the little plant in spring that has spread out 2 little leaves pushing through that frozen earth. And it'll take years, even decades, for this transformation of releasing the power at the top of the pyramid and bringing the power down to the community and the people um, at the bottom of the pyramid. So it's all about building community and having compassion and kindness. So we see a lot that's not that in the world, and there's going to be a lot of revelation of popping of deceptions and truth coming out, even with, for example, what we know about our star family and aliens and ships, and actually that America has been involved with doing a lot of
Yippee.
negative stuff that's being attributed to the star family. But actually, the star family is on hold, waiting for us to wake up enough that we won't destroy them. So we're all in for a big ride. So get your surfboards out, because things are changing, and we are going to change too, like it or not.
Perfect. Well, I love that. I think Elizabeth has the higher road, the more enlightened and loving viewpoint of the change that we're going through. And I wonder, Paul, because of your scientific background, could you explain a little bit about the scientific changes, maybe while we're waiting to see if Karen can get on?
Well, I will start by saying that science is starting to see a different reality. I don't speak for all scientists, but as a scientist, I can see that many of the truths that have been spoken about by the mystics and by those spiritual teachers that we have seen, they're using different terminology, but they're tapping into the same kind of reality that science is now starting, or has been for quite a while, opening up to. So, for example, wild ideas like entanglement or quantum effects, other things that we're hearing about in some of these podcasts, like the telepathy tapes, where they're talking about the reality of mind-to-mind communication. Well, I've also been involved with bringing awareness of the phenomenon in our skies or beyond the planet. I'm not so interested myself in phenomena of UFOs or EAPs or any of that, but more, what does it mean for us as a species or as a consciousness, and the opportunity that is going to be presented. And I have no doubt about that. It's more a matter of timing than if, that we're going to be becoming aware of our part and our place in a far grander reality. And right now we have some very parochial, anthropocentric points of view about each other, about God. And these are topics that all are merging together. And so that's, I haven't said much science yet, but I think the science is starting to look at things that they wouldn't have considered a few years ago. And so I'm moving beyond trying to explain or predict everything and trying to become a one with these things, looking for validation. I am doing that, but not necessarily proof in a third dimensional perspective. In other words, if you only work from the brain and not the mind, and those two are not the same, if you're working only from the brain, you are working in a 3D reality of remembered images and pictures and within the time frame of the reality of time that we see. But if you're working from the mind, you now are transcending or starting to do so the bounds of what you've experienced, or timing, where time no longer is the constraining force in the reality. And so I'm looking to bring more of what I know at a higher level, my higher soul, my spirit, my higher self, into and apply that in the world that I'm living in. So I would say where scientists try to prove things using instrumentation and tools, that will lead to a third dimensional reality, which will be validated, but it will be the lowest common denominator of the possible knowing that we can have. And that the mystics who are operating beyond time's illusion, they can see a broader perspective. And I'm looking to try to bridge those two to come up with a common shared narrative, because I think many of the greatest answers to our biggest problems in the world are in the boundaries between disciplines and between realities. And so I think I'll stop there for now. And
Perfect. Thank you.
And I would also ask you, Kathy, even though you think you're the moderator, this lady has got amazing abilities. I'd like to hear your point of view until we hear Karen come in.
Well, like you, I've always wanted to have an expanded view, and I love when science catches up to the view. I love when things that I don't know how I know, but I know then are discovered by science. And it's fascinating to me how much is in the field if you are able to connect to it. And like you, Paul and Elizabeth and I all meditate every day. So we're always looking for the higher viewpoint, which includes the benefit of all. It isn't just for ourselves, it's for the oneness of all and the love of all. But I wanted, since both of you have put a lot of experience and effort into the Monroe work, would you like to talk? One of you would like to start talking while I answer the phone again about that? Which one would like? Elizabeth, would you like? Okay.
I've got a comment. I'll make mine quick.
Okay.
I've been working a little bit with, they say when the student's ready, the teacher appears. I've been living in a neighborhood with a lady who has been a Monroe Institute teacher for a long time, knew Bob Monroe, and has instituted some classes right in our neighborhood here. And in looking at things like Focus 27 and higher levels of inner awareness, one thing that I thought was sort of interesting is they practitioners encountered some extraterrestrial components, or let's just say non-worldly, non-earthly bound consciousness. And they were in what we would call a group consciousness, or some would call a hive mind, perhaps even like the Borg, where they all think alike. And the humans all think differently. And so maybe it seems like, we can't agree on anything, but one of the benefits of having free will choice is that we do have independent, or at least we think they are independent thoughts. In a world of supposed separation, it's easier to do that. Well, maybe that separation, that ignorance of how we're all connected, as Elizabeth said, is a benefit to us, because it allows us to now discover that connectedness on our own and then have a real visceral feeling of what that is. Well, the ETs that they were communicating with couldn't understand what we were doing, and it sounded like cacophony to them, because we were all saying or feeling a different thought. If you're all in telepathy and you could hear all the world's thoughts, just think of how confusing that would be. So it may be we have cut off our own telepathic ability so that we could even operate and see the seeming cause and effect between our actions and what they bring us. So it's an interesting limitation to communication with telepathic beings because they tend to think in a different way than we do and may not even be able to understand our perspective. And I'll stop there. It was a very interesting interaction that went deeper, but I'll just stop and let Elizabeth add something here.
So I wanted to just mention that the cosmic weather, the astrology, is a way for us to co-create with the probabilities of the universe. And right now we have Pluto opposed Mars. Pluto has entered Aquarius. It'll be there for 40 years. That's transformation at the base level all the way out to the frequencies. So we have massive, rapid input from AI. We have rapid input from frequency healing. And as far as the Monroe Institute, I went to Gateways and Lifelines at the Monroe Institute. And in Lifelines, I learned how to help people pass over who were lost, who had died. And recently, I was at the Lynn McTaggart event where we work on setting an intention for a specific place to help to obviously lift up that energy. And in addition to the heartfelt, weaving of light around the planet, because I had this training at the Monroe Institute, which I didn't have before, I was able to connect with the souls that have died in Washington, D.C. For example, the Potomac airplanes, the gangs in the neighborhoods. And a wave went around the planet. And it's not me. I have a dove master with an infinite flock of doves who will accommodate however many souls have passed over in a specific event and take them to the place of freedom. So the Lynn McTaggart event was for me not just the obvious loving kindness that we put forth, but my guides did waves of releasing lost souls all over the planet. And that's specifically from my Monroe Institute training with Lifelines. That's it.
This is really an interesting situation, Elizabeth, where our speaker brought us here together. And I might have declined coming if it wasn't for the group here. And now you and I are able to speak a little bit more than I would have ever thought. And so thank you, Kathy, for the opportunity.
Excuse me. We're still trying to get Karen on. So who knows how this is going to go.
I also just want to really acknowledge you, Kathy Mason, for the incredible work that you do in serving humanity and helping to bring us all together in waves of awakening.
Thank you. Thank you. So back to the Monroe work. They're saying that the military knew about Monroe's work back in, I think, was it 60s or so?
Yes.
50s, 60s. So could you explain a little bit, either one of you or both of you, your knowledge of it? Because for people that don't understand the opportunity to go out of your body without a near-death experience, without a shattering Kundalini experience, that's our ancient birthright, and to use it in a creative sense for the betterment of all.
Well, to respond to your point about the military, I wish I could remember his name, but one of the very first remote viewers was someone who was a teacher at the Monroe Institute. I'll never forget what a loving soul he is. Wish I could remember his name. Anyway, he was like the pivot point for remote viewing becoming a military asset. And I've also had training to the second level in remote viewing. And I've also done quite a bit of astral traveling with the Daman Her Society, the spiritual group from northern India, northern Italy. And these things are really possible. I mean, personally, I've had astral journeys where I have gone back probably thousands of years and seen all kinds of rituals and been part of the great experiment at Giza. These things are available to those who can, I guess, clear yourself and be open to connecting with spirit in that way. And I don't recommend just, going out and trying it in your backyard. It's important to get training because it can be dangerous. There are other forces that would love to gobble up our soul energy. But with the proper training and the proper protection, the awareness that gets opened up is mind boggling, literally. That, I mean, it's like time travel too. And they do also do time travel at Damanhur as one of their practices. So, yeah, the military's all over it. They look ahead. I mean, this one fellow who was one of the key people in remote viewing told me, yeah, they asked me to go into the future and look at a situation and come back and tell them. And that avoided like a whole branch of a war that they were contemplating to be able to get that kind of information. It can also be used negatively. They can go in and look at secret documents and all that stuff too. I just think it's worthwhile to explore what the possibilities of the universe.
I can add a little more to that, Elizabeth. Um, I've been involved for a long time with the Society for Scientific Exploration. The idea here is to look at the boundaries and the extremes of what scientists typically are afraid to look at, but do it with rigor and with um, using scientific techniques to make sure that you are finding the common reality. Well, in that process with the SSE, we've had a number of these remote viewers, and we've even had many talks on remote viewing. One of the names that comes to many minds would be Russell Targ, who is the author of Third Eye Spies. I love that title of that book because they were using their ability to remotely view to see things for our own protection, our own military. I have a friend who was in that program as well. Other names that maybe Elizabeth was trying to think of, Pat Price is one, Ingo Swan, Skip Atwater, Joe McMonagle, Paul Smith spent the night at our home here.
McMonagle and
Yeah.
Skip Atwater.
Yeah, so all these people, they got started at the Stanford Research Institute in Stanford. And anyway, they are able to use techniques to see other things. And it's a demonstration that we all have access to a greater reality. When Elizabeth mentions that it can be dangerous, any tool that is powerful has the potential for use or misuse. And so it is wise to do it cautiously and to prepare oneself because other people, if they saw somebody dabbling in this that don't know any better, they might have some fun with us or mislead us. And so it is good to have training, and it's available. But these things and many, many other ways of knowing something ineffably, whether it be a near-death experience or a out-of-body experience, people come back with a story that says that this is more real than what we call real. The Aborigines call the sleep time reality and the living time the dream time. But they're all experiences, and so it doesn't matter to me whether it's a physical experience or a non-physical experience. If it changes my understanding, my knowing, my behavior, it is real to me. And so that's another thing about science that I think we're getting away from is the materialism and the that aspect of what we accept as real. That it may be that all energy has consciousness. And as we explore these ideas and let go of our preconceptions, we may start to hear and see much more than we expected before. And so, not to immediately discount what we're hearing or seeing, but to say, that's what scientists typically don't typically say, Eureka. They say, that's odd.
Oh, okay. So Paul, Karen's here. I see your beautiful face. Thank you,
Oh,
Karen, for coming. So everyone, I did interview Karen 4, 5, 6 years ago, something or other, when I first started Conscious Business Zone, because Karen and I met right. I think it was fairly soon after I left Arthur Andersen as a consultant. And we had very similar experiences because we were highly sensitive, highly intuitive, working in a corporate type environment, trying to bridge the gap of, working with the highly competitive and aggressive energy, and then bringing in things that worked best for everyone, right? I mean, that's been our nurturing nature. So Karen is an MS and MA. She's considered a leading pioneer in applying intuitive intelligence, which is what we're going to work on today. And our guests have volunteered to be read by Karen, and she's so generous that she would do that on live, so we could see how she works. And she's just a genius at what she does. Her gifts are described as remarkable, pragmatic, and otherworldly by the media, executives, mental health professionals, higher education, and the general public. She's known for a rare combination of talents as an intuitive counselor, psychic medium, human development expert, executive coach, management consultant, educator, and radio entertainer. And when we talked yesterday, you told me that you'd done these call-ins on the radio where you've read people over and over and over again. So we're trying. She's being a great sport. So hi, Karen. Thank you for going to all this trouble to get on with bad weather where you live.
Well, let me tell you, when you're doing radio or public speaking, it's like something always has to happen, right? And go wrong and everything. And so it never rains here in California, and it's raining here. And evidently, unbeknownst to me, about 5 minutes before we're supposed to start the show, my power was out, and so I couldn't access the internet. And I'm in a newer house, so I was out there trying to figure out in the rain how to get the power going and everything. And so I'm glad we could convert this to my phone. But, I know this is a show about consciousness and everything, and, health and wellness. And I think it's like, what, now 9:30, and I feel like I'm ready for a scotch. Oh, my goodness. It was so interesting, the little that I could hear when I got on Lopsided this morning on the show, with what Paul was saying. I thought it was fascinating, and thank you for the kind introduction too, my friend. It was fascinating that my mother, actually, when you were talking about remote viewing and everything, I grew up with a mother who was highly intuitive, and so was my father. And actually, my father was a general practitioner and general surgeon. And so we talk about Einstein and the universe, and that's how I grew up. My mother, he wasn't like what some would say woo-woo, but my mother actually had studied the remote viewing and psychic development back at UCLA back in the 60s. So I didn't know, although I grew up with many books on the subject of quantum physics and mind over matter and spirits, telepathy and all of that. I actually didn't know until she passed 22 years ago that she did go to school at UCLA. And at that time, and you all might know this, at UCLA, what they were doing, the government was putting a lot of money. I think Paul mentioned Stanford. They were putting a lot of money into education to do research in the psychic sciences, to teach remote viewing, because what was going on, with the Cold War and all of that at the time. So I think that's fascinating. And I did, since you all are in Colorado and I've moved back to California, you mentioned the radio. So some of you might remember that, even your listeners. I used to be on 92.5 The Wolf with Steve Mudflat McGrew, which was a country station. And so I would take calls from people around all sorts of subjects related to psychology and their world, answering psychically, psychologically, and business questions, answering to almost any questions and stuff. And then I was on 93.7 out there too. So it's good to be reintroduced to this audience and highly conscious people.
Oh yeah, well this is great, because I did get to go to Karen's house, and it was gorgeous in Denver, so in South Denver. So we have both Elizabeth and Paul here, but there is someone on the chat that would love to have a reading as well. I don't know if you're game for that. Do you need to see her?
No, and I usually have my eyes closed anyway, because it's energy. If I can just get, what I need is a first name, and then I just need a specific question. We don't have enough time today for me to kind of sort of generally say, well, what's in my future 10 years out? I just, but if there's a pointed question, I'll tune in.
Oh, okay. So, Lauren, could you please write what your question is? And in the meantime, what we'll do, and Edna, if you want a question, hi, Edna. If you want questions, and Xana, hi. Anyway, what I'd love to do is bring these beautiful people back on one by one so that you can hear their question. And I'll, let's see, I'll add Paul first. Okay. And
You want to start right now? Okay. Hi, Karen. I'm pleased to see you.
Nice
you wanted my name, Paul Sperry. Anything else you want?
Pardon?
Anything else you need from me besides my name?
I just need you to ask a specific question.
Okay. All right. So I'm in Longmont, Colorado. In a world or a time of talk of a one world currency and a financial reset and cryptocurrency and other unexpected things, do you see any financial shifts coming for which we should prepare, and what might that include? And I'll add that I don't want to focus on the negative, but I do want to focus on general universal issues for everybody. And if you want to answer to me personally, go ahead, but widen it too for everybody that's listening.
Paul, why did I intuit that you were going to ask a big world question? Okay, let me see what I get here about that.
I invite you in, and I thank you.
So I'm going to tune in and answer your question. And before that, the other thing that I'm getting from divine guidance is that what's most important right now for people to know is, because of quantum duality, that thoughts affect matter and the nature of particles can be altered, that no matter what is going on around us, and I'm going to answer your question, Paul, I promise. I'm not trying to evade it. But no matter what's going on around us, and I'm getting chills as I say this, the most important thing is that we know that we can, most of us can control our own thought processes. And so that's the most important in terms of our own reality, including our financial reality. not to feel that the world is overwhelming us. And I know in the state of affairs that a lot of people are feeling like that. And because a lot of the fear, people are being very externally driven and anxious. And I want to remind people that this is a great time to go inward, to say, but I am in control of my thought process, my attitude, and what am I creating? So having said that, Paul, let me go back to your question. That's part of the answer. You know what I get? I don't get it all like that we're going to crash or whatever. What divine guidance is saying to me is what's going on is we're sweeping things out right now. It's a sweeping period, and for what we don't need. And I'm apolitical. I'm not answering this politically. Okay. I'm just telling you what I get. We're in a sweeping period, and that there is light at the end of this tunnel for things to get actually a lot better. I don't get us crashing. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, well, I'm more interested, actually. I'm not in a fearful state. So I'm actually more interested. Are there any specific opportunities or timings
Paul,
for spiritual growth on the near horizon for which we could all prepare?
Is what, Paul?
Are there any specific opportunities or timings for spiritual work? Is the universal energy that we're passing through providing opportunities for which we can prepare and take advantage of on the positive side?
Oh, of course. Of course. And you know what I'm hearing is, and that's of course, and what I'm hearing is it's going to actually be a much speedier process for heightening consciousness. And you know, I mean, with the polarity that is going on right now, what it's doing is it's helping people really get better in tune with what their own value system is, what their own belief system is, what's really important to them, what matters. And you know, with the polarity, there is always sort of like you know, it's sort of like an antithesis and a thesis and a synthesis, that the polarity is helping everyone grow, and it's going to be at a more rapid rate.
Thank you.
But I'm going to say, and Paul, I know you're not one to be, you know, fearful. I wasn't saying that. I was kind of saying that I think a lot of people are. And so I think the most important message is that people know how powerful they are, and that their own thoughts are so powerful, and that they can navigate and pivot and go within to listen to their own intuitive guidance system, consciousness, whatever we want to call it, God, divine beings, guides, that we can listen to that to help us navigate and to relax into this and find meaning no matter what is going on in our lives, and not necessarily say, well, this is going on and it's a terrible thing, but to look at what's going on within and outside of us, and with every obstacle that we have, to be able to find some acceptance and find meaning for each one of us, because I think when we find meaning, then we find purpose.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi there. I'm so honored and pleased that I get to have this time with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you too.
So I know we don't have much time, so I'm going to jump right in. So right now on the planet, we're having this huge dance in the area of health, where there's a lot of the stagnation of late winter. There's a lot of negativity. people, getting sick, the COVID thing, all of that stuff. And at the same time, we're accelerating rapidly with frequency healing, consciousness healing, intention healing. And I'm interested if you have any suggestion for personal steps, both personal and possibly planetary in general, to kind of guide our way through this very chaotic time.
Okay, and I'm sorry you cut out for one of you said personal steps. If you mean for you or for everyone, and then I didn't hear the rest of the sentence.
Well, personal steps, both and personal and also planetary, for people to manage the chaos, because many of us meditate and have high intentions, but for example, I still have some major health issues that I'm working on. And I know it's a challenge that I'm trying to meet.
Okay. Yeah, and I think and I'm going to tune into you in particular too. I think it's probably annoying to a lot of people who are going through significant illness. Sometimes for us to sort of say, well, mind over matter and think positive and sort of convince your way out of this. When they're like, I'm in a lot of pain and this is just, kind of a living hell that I'm in. And, sometimes I think the best thing to say to people when they're not feeling well is, wow, this is really crappy. This is not good. Having said that, I think one of the things that is probably one of the most powerful, and you already know this, and the audience does, is trying to find that that joy and of course that love of self, because those things are such high vibration. Even when you're going through this, to find the laughter somehow in it, because I think that the laughter really does amazing things, we all know, for our vibration and frequency. Let me see with respect to you, though, Elizabeth. I just say whatever I get, Elizabeth, and I get words and then I have to figure out what they mean. What I'm hearing is, for you, things aren't calculating right. So to me, that's like things aren't adding up, and I need to figure. I want to see what that is, and certainly the message of you trying to find more joy would be really, really helpful. I want to see what this whole thing actually. What I'm hearing is you are being your own minister, which is amazing, because you do that for everyone. But what I'm hearing on the other side of that is Elizabeth also needs to lean on other people and to depend on other people and listen to their assistance with respect to your physical health.
Okay.
And physically too, about the calculation, things not calculating, it also made me wonder if there are more traditional doctors that you're seeing, if they're not talking to each other, or somebody's saying this and somebody's saying this, but it seems like, I don't know if you're getting different messages or something, but I feel like it needs a combined holistic approach of people talking to each other that can help you.
Yes, and I am a holistic practitioner as well.
Okay. So, and I kind of know, and so that's why I was hearing you're being your own minister to yourself, because you are the expert at holistic work. And I'm hearing, in addition, to be listening to people from all different, who can look at this from all different angles, some traditional and some more energetic, that it's more of an opening to listening to others.
Okay.
That's the message.
Listen to others.
Right.
Yeah, I've had to sift through. I generally don't go to the medical model, but at times I do. And currently, one of the alternative models is helping. But I kind of
And
push the whole medical model out of the picture as much as possible.
I know. And that's why I'm saying and that's why I'm saying I think that and this is your belief, so I'm just telling you what I get is I feel like the traditional model would be helpful in combination with the alternative models as well.
Yes, and I am doing that.
Okay.
I wonder, because I am now, getting older, the cause of, I mean, when I was younger, I felt like, oh, I'm immortal, I'm I'm this perfected divine being. And now, facing the shortcomings of having a physical body is like grounding me in a way that I haven't been grounded before. So maybe that's the lesson.
Wow. So what's the gift in that for you?
Well, it is forcing me to really embody. I mean, I'm someone who can fly easily. My husband is my anchor and I cruise the universe. But now I'm really having to come in for a landing. And living in the mountains where I do really helps me with that too.
Okay. Bless you. And let me just see what I get around the health. If like I love the good news about that, like it's grounding you. And but let me just see practically here too. I know you know this. I'm saying it anyway, girl, because it's what I hear. I'm hearing unwind.
What?
Which I know, unwind. The words are unwind, Elizabeth.
Unwind. Okay.
And I know that's hard when you're facing a lot of stress and illness is stressful. And I know you know all about meditation, everything. I'm speaking to the choir. So, but I tell you what I get. Yeah, I mean, that the unwinding and reducing your stress is like super, super, super important right now.
And I think it's not just for me, it's for a lot of people.
It's for a lot of, and I'm kidding you when I say this, but this is what I heard because my guides and most guides are kind of funny. And my dad was a general practitioner, I mentioned. And so on health stuff, he comes through. And by the way, I always say, go to the doctors. People don't listen to a psychic about your health stuff. But what I heard in a funny way was like, I heard Elizabeth take an Ambien. not that you actually would, but I'm just saying like to really relax.
Ambien. Okay, well, my husband just got off of those about 2 months ago.
Well, then you know what? Then they're right there. They're right available to you.
I generally sleep pretty well.
Yeah, that's good.
Basically, it's a limitation of mobility and pain that I deal with.
Okay, because what I was hearing, the bottom line is this is also a transition, and it is, I'm hearing, going to get better. But this is it's a transition time, and there are different modalities out there, I think, that haven't been tried that you can use to reduce the pain and help with the mobility.
Okay.
That's true too. By the way, people who've seen me for years know I don't just say what people want to hear. I say what I get.
Oh, that's good. Yes, thank you.
You know what you're doing. Just listen though, because you're the expert. But sometimes us experts, we need to also be more open to what people are saying.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Who's next?
Okay. I'm gonna put let's see. Xana is next. She's Xana Kozar. Why am I experiencing health issues right now?
I'm hearing two things. One is Xana needs to feel unencumbered, and Xana is also not feeling people are listening to her. I wonder if there's anything about, so if I am not well, then maybe then people will listen to me. And that is not conscious at all. So on that one too, my dad's coming in and saying, Xana's motor isn't working very well.
Okay.
So when I get that, I'm wondering if that's like Xana's spirit and energy, or if it's actually physical. And then the other thing is, Xana, I feel like you really are trying to get the help you need, and then you feel like nobody's listening. They're not hearing what you're saying. It's frustration. It's frustrating too. And then I'm hearing, but also, Xana, make sure you're listening to other people too, ones who are wanting to help you.
Nice.
And I'm sorry because I'm on my phone and instead of my computer, I'm having a hard time here. But is she commenting at all?
No, she's not. She's not. Oh, here she is. Thank you. She said thank you with a bunch of hearts.
Okay.
Do you want me to ask her to ask another question or?
Well, I just want to see, because the main thing is Xana wants to be feeling better. So let me just bear with Xana. Let me just see.
Okay.
Well, this is an interesting one because it's a little similar to Elizabeth's message too. I'm hearing that it's not just up to you to count on yourself, and I want everybody to be empowered and everybody to count on themselves. I'm one of those. But this is another situation which would help you, is to make sure that you're listening to people who know what they're doing with respect to your health. You're not alone. Depend on people who know what they're doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Xana. And let us know if we're right on.
One last
Wonderful.
thing.
So grateful, she said.
Oh, and one last thing for Xana. Xana, you already know this, but I have to say what I get. Make sure you practice what you preach.
Okay. So the next one, there's several people. Denise Chadwick in England is asking, can I just ask what is at the forefront for me to know? Her name is Denise Chadwick.
I'm hearing, I love it that you're calling in from England. I'm hearing you just have to continue having a fabulous time. Like you go.
Good.
I also feel like Denise is on a ride financially, and you can like make as much money as you want. Denise is in the power position. And I'm also getting Denise feeling a little lonely. The thing is, being Denise being sort of a powerhouse, there's a really interesting trend here going on with these messages, which sometimes happens. I'm hearing for Denise too to reach out and also depend on people.
Oh,
To ask for what you need and to be vulnerable. That'll help with any loneliness. Denise, you're gonna have relief when you make up your mind. So if there's a big decision or something that you're trying to decide, and feel free, Denise, to express yourself.
oh, she does.
Good. And they're
She's
going like,
she's amazing.
Denise, like, feel free to say it like it is, because Denise is a powerhouse with a lot of positive energy.
Yep.
You
She
know
also,
Denise?
yeah, I know her. Yeah, I love her. Okay, it says, and she also asked about health puzzles I'm currently working on. Any guidance on the health puzzles? That she's also asking about that.
Health puzzles?
Yes, that's English for challenges.
Oh, okay. I like puzzles better than challenges. That's
Me too. Well, that's why she's very, very magical being.
She is. My gosh, Denise. Well, everyone on the phone, everyone here has been amazing, and absolutely, like Denise, you're like you could just like you're a magical manifester is what you are. Okay, I say whatever I get. My dad's coming in. By the way, my dad being a doctor was the most loving doctor in the whole world, and he says, Denise, beat him up. I don't know what that is. I say what I get. So if there is some conflict here, let me see if I can find out what that means. Denise, you're signing up for too much. So maybe with all the things you've got going on, that sometimes maybe the beating them up is like you don't need to do it all and say yes to it all. Like maybe some of it's like, no, I'm not doing this one at all. And by the way, as a psychic, normally, I'm having a two-way conversation with people, and I'm also a psychotherapist, right? So what I do with my clients, when I get a message, and sometimes I think it's metaphorical. So in this case, it's definitely metaphorical because we don't want Denise going out and beating people up. But when I'm talking to the client, we figure out, well, what does that actually mean? Sometimes I'll get things that I think are metaphorical and then they're actually literal. So in this case, I know that's not true. And this is interesting too. My dad's saying Denise is trying to decipher if she's well or not. And then I hear, so pick well. And then I'm hearing too, vitamin D, needing vitamin D. Stand up for what you believe in, express yourself. That's going to help your health too.
Okay.
Any thoughts, Denise?
Well, she said, ha ha ha, puzzles lightens it up rather than challenges, LOL. So she's listening. Okay, thank you so much. That's all really interesting. So that's good.
Oh.
I have somebody on the phone um, that her name is Felice Di Martino. Felice. Oh, she said Denise says makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah,
And
like I said, a little different when you don't get any feedback from people. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You're just kind of like, I get.
Well, that's why I have these wonderful guests here. Is I thought that would be engaging, but we're just doing it. This is real and raw, guys. We're doing it live.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I haven't done this like in a podcast radio where I'm just doing live readings, and I used to do it with Citizens Crime Wire, doing homicides and leading from within show and all that. So this is so fun to do with you guys, and I'm so happy to do it, and I appreciate you making this all happen. Sweet lady, I really do. Kathy, thank you.
So do you want to do one more, or do you want to do me, or do you want to? Okay, so I've got somebody on the phone that's texting me.
Whatever you want to do, we'll do as many as we can.
Okay. Well, first, let me say to Elizabeth and Paul, thank you so much. If you want to stay on in the back, you're welcome to. But if you have other appointments, I don't want to hold you. Thank you so much for being here. Denise said, beaming you so much love, Karen. Much gratitude.
Thank you so much.
So wanted to see if Paul and Elizabeth, if you have any other things, or just want to say gratitude to for holding down the fort with me.
I'll say this has been a lot of fun. I didn't expect it. It was a last minute thing. I appreciate, Kathy, what you're doing so much, and that people find you. Karen finding you. I don't know who find home, but it's valuable to me. I'm going to stay on and listen to the rest of it,
Okay.
and just know I appreciate what's been transpiring here.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you, Paul. I just didn't want, if you had something right after, I know you're very busy. And then Elizabeth, you have anything else you want to add?
Well, again, great gratitude. Thank you so much. And I just wonder if there's any specific dates coming up in the next year or maybe two that are significant for all of us to be aware of.
Is that a question, sweet lady?
That's a question. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I at the beginning, so okay. Again, I just say what I get. Don't let monsters have you hiding under your bed. This is interesting. I don't know if this is for you, Elizabeth, or it's so weird. It's not, I don't know what, I just get what I hear. The message is we don't need to be a jack of all trades, and we need to find what our greatest strengths is and where our joy is and pursue that. And that's what's and this is around what's, going to be happening in this next 2 years that we need to be aware of. We don't need to be a jack of all trades. So we kind of need to hone in on listening, I guess, again, to ourselves, using our greatest strengths, and focusing there on how we can each serve. That's what this is about. How we can each serve. Again, we want to have an internal locus of control. What are we doing? What can we control? And with what we can't control, that external locus of control, what we can't control, we can't worry about. We can only navigate our inner world, and with our own joy and our own love and our own strength and our own servitude, we put that out there. Does that make sense?
Sure. Thank you.
Nobody hide under their beds, though.
Yeah, oh, that's it. Funny.
Well, you know, I know that this next 40 years is about a major transformation of power for the planet. And it's going in the right direction. And I'm excited about it because
Me
we're
too.
breaking through a lot of lies and deception. And the truth could be shocking, but it's going to come out, and I'm really happy it is.
Yeah, and you know, me too. And the more that it's so true, because now we're in an age too where we have access to so much more information. I mean, everyone's, you know, our vibration and our psychic abilities are heightening, and so there, in terms of connecting to consciousness in the quantum field, we have access to all information, right? All consciousness. And we do through technology as well. And so things that were hidden before are becoming much more transparent, which is amazing. We can access information through our research, even in AI and technologies like we couldn't before too. And so with that, we've all got a lot more power into navigating our lives from a more conscious and thoughtful approach.
Yeah, I feel like we all got to hold on to our hats because everything's speeding up rapidly.
Yeah.
And not be attached to the past.
We can fly.
Yes.
Right. Love it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate
Love
what
it.
you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, so I do have, I wanted you to get the accolades from people. Let's see. Beaming, so much love, Karen. Much gratitude from Denise. And Xana, thank you. She also said wonderful, so grateful. So there are some more people, but maybe just to, do you want to read me and then
Sure.
we'll wrap it up, and then yeah. Okay, so let's take, so I have a lot of downsizing and releasing of material things to do, to probably sell my house and move. And so I'd love any insight into that, how I'm going to juggle everything.
Juggle, and I'm sorry you cut out too. Juggle
Juggle
downsizing.
everything between full-time work and downsizing, you know, having enough energy to do it all.
Okay. Okay. I'm hearing from Divine Guidance. Come on, Kathy. Are you kidding me? You've got so energy. You can blow everything apart. Like, what are you talking about? Having enough energy to do all this, girlfriend? You vibe high. So interesting. Again, there's a huge message for all of us here in the pattern of these readings, because what I'm hearing is, Kathy, know that you don't have to do this all yourself. You're loved, and there are people who are going to help you, and to lean on them. And I think a lot of us and a lot of people watching this, you know, your show, we're helper, healer, counselor pattern, right? And so with people like us, we're so used to helping everybody else, but probably our underdeveloped side is having people assist us. And so that's what would be helpful for you, is to have people carry a lot of the weight, metaphorically and physically. You know what's really cool is I'm hearing you are your own creator. We all are. But what's interesting is when you downsize, your creativity and your ability to create is going to go up even exponentially. It's like all of this stuff is actually weighing you down and it's stressing you out and it's too much. And when you simplify everything, then it's almost like, okay, I've got a new blank slate, new piece of paper here. And now I can, you know, like letting go. And Elizabeth was talking about like letting go of the past. And you're going to like, it's almost like you're going to be reawakened.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Sure, it makes sense. Whether you're carrying a suitcase or a steamer trunk with you on this journey, if you put it into a carry-on suitcase, it'd be a lot easier.
Exactly.
Just material things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is so, I said, so what about Kathy's work? And, you know, really navigating that during this time where she's having to move and all that. And then I hear, well, Kathy, the people you're serving need you more than you need it right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, which is so sweet that, of course, the way to look at that is I, you know, that people really honor you and they appreciate you and they need you. And right now, while you're going through this transition with your move and letting go of things, it's okay. I think your people will understand that if you need to slow things down or maybe skip a podcast or whatever, that they're going to still be there and they're going to understand. You can put them on pause for a little bit.
Okay. Okie doke. Okay. Well, that's helpful. Yeah. Anything else that you see? Is there anything else? And then we'll wrap it up. I don't know, Edna, if you have a question. You did have a comment. If you have a question, be happy to ask it. And I also have Felice had a question. But anything else?
Let's take two and let me finish with you, Kathy.
Okay.
Your guides are saying, Kathy, appreciate what you have and you do.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. That was a good one. Okay. Okay, so do you want to do one more off of my phone text?
Sure. Kathy, you've got so many great things going on because of who you are that I don't have as much for you.
Yeah, no, because you and I are so similar that yeah. Sister from another mother. Yep.
I think you're in your element. You're self-actualizing and self-actualize, like you're doing it. So I don't have a lot for you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have this from Felice DiMartino, and Felice said, what is most helpful for me to know at this time? And she also said, what do they have to share with me? And she is a near-death experiencer, so she is very aware of a larger a reality and has access, but she's trying to navigate it.
Slow and steady is the best course right now. No knocking your head against the wall. So Felice is a powerhouse. And Felice, you're getting your ducks in a row right now. And it maybe feels a little slower for you, or that you're having to be more patient than you want to be. But it's like this whole thing about you getting your ducks in a row, and then all of a sudden it's like you're going to shoot out of a rocket. You are determined. Determined also to make money at what you're doing. I get to Felice, like, you know what you're doing, and you also want to believe in yourself, because I feel like some of what's going to be going on is like in the future, and like you're doing what you need to do. You're dotting your I's, you're crossing your T's, you're being analytical about it. And it's just like, is this going to propel me forward? And the answer is yes. The whole thing is count on yourself. That's the big message here.
Cool.
That help?
Very great. Oh yeah, that was, and you said knock your head on, don't bang your head, and she had a head injury. So that was interesting. Yeah, and you caught that. Yeah, you caught that. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So even with that, like, even with the head injury and everything, like, maybe this is part of the healing that she's going through, about having to be patient through this whole thing. And knowing that it's really interesting, because I'm hearing like getting ducks in a row, and then all of a sudden like shooting out of a rocket. So I feel like the patience, and then all of a sudden things shift in a positive direction very quickly.
Perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so I have one that, let's see, it's from Edna Brillin, and she is Canadian, but lives here in Colorado. And her question is for her, because this is her heritage: when will the world start addressing systemic racism and standing with the brown people?
What I'm hearing is to acknowledge the effort and the people and the movement of people standing with, I think she used the term brown people.
Yes.
It's to acknowledge that that is already in play. It's not in the future. And the more to see it from that lens, that there is movement in that direction, then the more you're going to perceive of that heightening and increasing. It's sort of like, what lens do we want to look through?
Okay. That sounds perfect. That's excellent. Thank you. That was a toughie. That was a harder one than everyone else. You're tapping into your essence.
Really,
that's a whole.
It shows, Kathy, who your audience is, and that they're so concerned with the world and everything, and very different than, a lot of the calls I get, of course, is like, so I'm dating this guy. What does he think? Is my husband cheating? What's my boss thinking?
Yeah.
Which is all, by the way, that's the stuff that also keeps us up at night. But it's just, I kind of thought going into this today, like the questions would be more worldly, a little bit more philosophical, esoteric, broader than specific like that. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for persevering to get on. And Karen, want to make sure that people, I have put the banner up with your, you have 2 sites, but if people want counseling / psychic medium / intuitive help, they can go to karensinsight.com. Is there any way else that you'd like to share how they can connect with you so that they could go further, go deeper?
So yeah, that is my counseling and psychic website. If people have businesses, my background, has been helping businesses grow for many, many, many years.
We don't want to talk about that. Over
Website,
20.
helping Fortune 500 companies and improving performance. So that's KarenStorsteen.com. But I think that the website that's probably most of your people are interested is the Karen'sInsight.com, and that's plural. Yeah,
Okay.
so they can see me there. And then they can see too, like different, I have a lot of articles. I write for Discover magazines and interviews with universities. And I have a book that the chief knowledge officer at NASA asked me to write that I contributed to on intuitive leadership, and where I talk about the neurological, psychological, and quantum approach to heightening innovation, intelligence, and performance. It's a textbook, actually. So that's pretty cool. But I've got so many articles on there that for people to read, whether it's in the areas of psychology, business, metaphysics, psychic, mediumship, all of it.
Wonderful. Well, we'll reschedule this again and do a different version of it when your internet's on, if you want. I'm happy to host you anytime. I love what you do. I love who you are. And I just want as many people as possible to know about what you do, because these times are, I truly believe that you will help people realize how powerful they really are, and help them discover that next step for them to be their authentic self. And so I just want to thank you so much for your contribution to the change. And you're amazing. You're amazing, Karen. Thank you.
So are you, Kathy? I so appreciate it. And I look forward to being able to watch the show, because I missed what Elizabeth and Paul were talking about. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Came in here, hurried in with wet hair, having been out in the rain. So thanks for being late. What are you gonna do? This is life, right? For everyone, this is life. What do? We just have to we pivot, and then we show up and we do the best we can. And that's for all of us. That's all we can do.
Right. Well,
So
I'm going to bring them back on again. And thank you, everybody. And thank you, Karen. And want you to know that we're on the roller coaster ride together. And it sounds like we're all going to be holding hands from now on, where we're helping each other through it. Right. So thank you. So many accolades in the chat. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you all.
Thanks all.
Blessings.
Grateful for who you are.
Blessings. See you guys. Thank you.